Welcome in. Thanks for stopping by again on such short notice. Back with another edition of IDP. Today we've got some indie rock, post-punk type stuff, some art rock perhaps, power pop, and a bit of indie pop as well. As usual, definitely feel free to grab yourself a beverage, a beer preferably. I didn't know this is what it was when I bought it, but this is a wine in a can. It's wine in a can, and it's melon wine. And it's also not very strong. I thought it might be something refreshing on a hot day, but it's melon Suntory. You can go ahead and grab yourself. Got a lot of beer. So earlier this week, I did receive a very valuable comment on one of my videos that I wanted to discuss here. Maybe I'll put it up here on the screen. So I've been wearing really bad toupees ever since I was a child, like as long as I can remember. Yeah, so like my whole life I've tried different ones. I even tried a toupee that had bangs, the different toupee that made it seem like I had my hair parted down the middle. But one thing all of these toupees had in common is they all made me look like I had zero dignity. And so I've just been waiting, I'm not sure what I was waiting for, but this comment kind of made me, it's like I hit rock bottom is basically what happened, or a moment of clarity. So I really like to thank this person for, probably saying what a lot of you have been thinking. Like, the toupee is no good. It's got to go. I agree. I'll tell you, like I did reach out to Dollar Tree. That's where I bought this toupee from. And I can't return it. It would have been difficult for me to return anyways because I'm overseas right now. But I did want to look into it just to find out if I could return it. Anyway, what I've decided to do, because enough is enough, really, I'm going to take out a second mortgage. I'm going to go down to Dolce & Gabbana, and I'm going to ask them to help me find a toupee that doesn't look terrible. Makes it look like I have at least a little bit of dignity. Anyway, let's get started. There's a lot of albums that start coming out here in September. I'm just going to talk about a handful here as usual. First one up, this is the latest LP for a two-piece band, a duo from Sydney, Australia. They're called Party Dozen, and the new album is called Crime in Australia. It's out on Temporary Residence and Grupo Records. Yeah, so Party Dozen, like I say, it's a duo. It's Kirsty Tickle on saxophone, and then Jonathan Boulay on percussion and sampler. So it's primarily percussion and sax, and primarily instrumental, although she does, I guess, some wailing or shrieking through the through her sax, and does, so there's some saying, but I don't I don't know what she's saying. So it's kind of almost as a vocal instrument. They've kind of become really well known for their really fiery live performances, crazy live shows, almost like you got to see it type live performer. The style is kind of hard to nail down. It's kind of maybe intense noise rock / experimental post-punk, no wave, kind of maybe heavy jazz fusion. There was a ton of hype leading up to the release of this album. I do think that it does deliver, very, very satisfying on what delivering on the promise of what it would be. So obviously, if you're looking for sing-along songs, this is not going to be the album for you. And also, if you're abrasive averse, this will also probably not be the album for you. There's a lot of shrieking and squealing sax, skronking sax, a lot of noise. Anyway, very much album worth checking out, and a band really not to be missed live. The band is called Party Dozen, and the album is called Crime in Australia. It's out now on Grupo in New Zealand and Australia, and on temporary residence in the rest of the world. Next up, this is the Los Angeles group called Dummy, and their second LP, their sophomore LP, which just came out, called Free Energy. This is the follow-up to their excellent debut LP released in 2021 called Mandatory Enjoyment. This new LP pushes things further in what they were doing. It just expands upon that. It still has the motoric, krautrock, Stereolab thing, dream pop vibes. You also get bands like Seafeel, Psychedelic Drone. There's like ambient pop, jazz, and dub elements as well. This is like an album made by a band of record collecting nerds, is the way that I would say it. I'd say this album is perhaps less immediately accessible to their debut LP, but I think this one might be just that much better, and just might reward you more over the long haul on repeat listenings. Yeah, so again, really big fan of the first album, also a fan of this album, just a really great band. Check it out. They're called Dummy. Dummy, they're named after the Portishead album, I believe. And this release is called Free Energy, and it's out now on Trouble in Mind Records. Next, this is another band out of LA that just released their fourth LP. Band is called Peel Dream Magazine, and the album is called Rose Main Reading Room. So we've talked about Peel Dream Magazine a few times in the past on this channel. Kind of a band, never quite sure what you're gonna get. I think a couple albums ago, that album was heavily inspired by like heavier My Bloody Valentine meets Stereolab. And then the album they followed that up with, their most recent album before this called Pad, really played like a High Llamas album. It felt like a significant change. So it was going to be really interesting to see where this one would land stylistically. Here we seem to bounce around a bit with this kind of Stereolab and High Llamas vibes, as well as just classic chamber pop, orchestra pop, psychedelic pop, still with lots of Stereolab and High Llamas vibes. I think this one works better for me than the album that came out, I think, a couple of years ago now, Pad. I'm not really sure why. It's not hugely different to it, just maybe more refined and works better for me. It's definitely generally laid back, almost loungy pop, and then definitely, like, especially on some of the songs on the second side, there's certain places on the album that you definitely can hear Sufjan Stevens' early work referenced heavily. Anyways, again, the band is called Peel Dream Magazine, and this album is called Rose Main Reading Room, and it's out on Top Shelf Records.
I wish you were around. I wish you were around. Open up the laptop, it doesn't really matter. Just look at our pattern to me. Get yourself a piece, car, make it matter. Venus and Mars. This moment is fleeting, your body is leaving. Just kiss me right here as I am. The world is defeating, but I'm busy reading the patterns of constellation.
Next, this is a band out of kind of like southeastern Spain. I think fairly rural southeastern Spain, well south of Valencia. They're called Star Trip, and their third LP, just released, is called Velocidad. I'm going to say Velocidad on Pretty Olivia Records. This is really solid, jangly power pop. Vocals are all in Spanish. I believe the band is named after the Velvet Crush song off of Teenage Symphonies to God. You certainly hear that 90s power pop a la Teenage Fan Club and maybe say the Posies, along with kind of the usual suspects like the classic Big Star and the Byrds for sure. Some of the songs really have almost a bandwagon-esque kind of crunchier guitar sound to them, but overall it's more in the more laid back, jangly pop style. I think if the vocals on this album were in English, a lot of kind of modern pop fans out there would really lick this up. I think it's quite good. I think if you can get over the fact that it's in Spanish, it's worth checking out. Yeah, otherwise, maybe not. The band is called Star Trip, and the album is called Velocidad. That's how I'm saying it, on Pretty Olivia Records. All right, this one actually came out, I guess, back in April. I was pretty busy at the time that this was released, and I only sampled it a bit and then had intended to come back around to it and just really didn't until the last couple weeks. This is a quartet out of Melbourne, Australia. They're called Parsnip, and the album is called Behold. Yeah, so this is their sophomore LP, female-led or female vocalist, guitar, bass, drums with saxophone and also very prominent keyboards. This is fantastic indie pop that gets better with repeat listens, has kind of a retro garage pop thing. Bands, or maybe like somebody like the Free Design is referenced, all generally sunshine pop, psych kind of sounds. At times reminds me a little bit of like the Elephant Six aesthetic. A band like Essex Green comes to mind a bit in a few places on this album. Just really right in my wheelhouse. Not super lo-fi, but a little lo-fi. And not super twee, but a little twee. Anyway, just highly recommended, catchy indie pop. The songs really stick with you. Band, again, is called Parsnip, and the album is called Behold, and it's on Anti-Fade Records and also Upset the Rhythm. Basically what I've decided to do is I'm going to take out a second mortgage and